Once upon a time, there was a cheese store in Little Italy called Leva. Leva is on the corner of Grand and Mulberry Street in the heart of Little Italy, New York. And the store is 130 years old, something like that. I wasn't here. I just look it. But that store has been open forever, and they serve the community with all the various cheeses, homemade, the mozzarella and the ricotta cheese and all the things that are famous in Italy, and the imported stuff too, and sandwiches and hot meals. They do a really wonderful service for the community, and people love to come there and snack, take things to go, cook with them. They don't have a restaurant on the outside. They have some takeout hot food, but they don't have a restaurant. So Karen King, who is my famous friend, my best friend, she's a singer. She's a great singer. And she sang the national anthem, as a matter of fact, the other day in front of thousands of people for the meatball eating contest, which she holds in honor of her ex-husband. He died, Cha-Cha. He was on Sopranos, Goodfellas, and managed Tony Danza, as a matter of fact, during his fighting days. And the best man at Cha-Cha's wedding was Danny DeVito. So they are all our friends. We're all friends. You know, we all know each other. And we have this great camaraderie because we come from second and third generation Italians, most of us. The first comers, the newcomers from Italy, come over there and wonder why we call it Little Italy when the big one is so good. We just want to recreate something so we can have that feeling of living in Rome and Naples, where the sauce comes from, that red sauce. That comes from Naples, the pizza, the margarita they call it over there. Sounds like a Latin name, but it's actually Italian. And that comes from the region where San Gennaro was the bishop and patron saint of the food. He also is celebrated at San Gennaro Feast for 10 days every year in Little Italy. We just came through that now, and about 1 million people came through in 10 days, all from all over. See, New York's a great city because it's a city of everybody. Most countries are only about their own country or their own people as a rule, but this country is about everybody. So everybody is in New York. You used to come to New York to get into the country. That was the port of entry was Ellis Island. And when you came to America, you came by ship and you entered New York as a rule. Other places too, sometimes by boat when you're not supposed to, or trains or walls that are built and people climb over them. But this is a very wonderful country for all of us, and the Italians have made a great go of it. We're known for a lot of things: architecture, food, and the gangster stuff is kind of, the wise guy stuff is it's a play on the early settlers who had to survive. Irish did the same thing. Jews did the same thing. Everybody, when they came here, there was an entry fee. You had to really work hard. And the Leva store, which is the cheese store on the corner of Mulberry and Grand, is one of those places where Karen King, that's her professional name, Cha-Cha's widow, she kept the place going even during the pandemic for 2 years, and the family worked there. She paid them. The rent's very high in New York for everything, everywhere. Little Italy took a big hit because there was 2 years of practically no tourists. And that's what we rely on in New York, or they rely on. I'm in Florida right now. But they rely on the income from tourism. And tourism has been nothing for 2 years. New York's famous for a few things. 3 things. Number one, is famous for money, for real estate, and Wall Street. Famous, number 2, for education, whether it's in the arts, the sciences, or colleges, universities. Number 3, for tourism, which is show business, entertainment, including television and radio, motion pictures, all these things, music, all comes from New York. So New York is the media center of the world, and they all have embraced Karen King and Leva. They love the place because she's such a good worker. She goes to work every day. She works very hard. She's put her money together and offered the land person who owns the property. She hadn't paid the rent on time in 2 years, so when you don't pay the rent on time, you don't have the right to the lease for 10 or 11 years. And she wants to keep the place and keep going. She offered a few $100,000, I think. I forget the exact amount. But the landlord didn't take it. She didn't take the deal. and suspiciously probably has someone to buy the property. We don't know. I don't know. She doesn't know. It's that Karen is a good worker, a hard worker, been great. She's paid everybody. She never owes anybody any money. She sold her properties to keep the family going, and she offered a great amount of money to keep the place open. And the landlady who lives in Pennsylvania, who was married to, I think it was second marriage to her husband, who was a banker. Stabile is the name, if you ever heard that name. So they don't want to take the offer. And the media loves Karen. We all love Karen. She's great. She sang the national anthem at the Cha-Cha annual Meatball Festival the other day, where we had a meatball eating contest. Somebody pigged out on a lot of balls. And they weren't bocce balls. So Karen sang the national anthem, as I mentioned, and she also is a great singer. She's performed often, much before she got involved in being an entrepreneur. She really could have a career as a singer, and I think when things straighten out here, she'll be back on the charts or on Broadway. I think she's a belter. She should play Kate Smith's story, but a lot of people don't remember Kate Smith, and younger people watching this wonder, who's that? She was the woman who recorded God Bless America, for one thing. And she was famous, controversial. She had a boyfriend who was her manager, who was married, and he was Catholic, so he wouldn't divorce his wife to come to marry her. It's an interesting story. It's a whole other sidebar. But Karen is great, and I want to see her make it, and everybody does, and we're all pushing for this little cheese store that is the store that is the Anchor right on the corner. It's the Anchor store for Little Italy, and also my favorite eating place, I might add. There's a couple that I like, but this one is in particular the best food. So that's it. I wanted to report to you that as time goes on, she filed for bankruptcy for protection so she could pay her bills and still have a go at trying to get this landlord to make a deal with her so she can keep her place for another 10 years maybe. And the family, they're younger, they want to inherit it too, so it's all in the family. What can I tell you? It's all been said. And in true Italian fashion, there's one way to leave all of this with the landlord. It's this. You don't need to say anything. Italians speak with our hands. It's a Reynolds wrap.